This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Great.
Okay, so here we are at 6:07.
Yeah. So welcome everyone. The October 26th, 2022 meeting of the Community Relations Committee. We want to thank Easthampton Media for posting our recordings on YouTube. All past meetings of the CRC can be found on Easthampton Media's YouTube account for viewing at any time. So let's see, there's no one joining us from the community right now. So I'll skip our mission statement because we'll be discussing it quite a bit amongst ourselves, but we'll do roll call right now. Rebecca Pasa.
Here.
Myra Oyedemi. Margaret Kirstein.
Here.
Jan Norman. Marla Solomon. Oh,
we didn't hear you.
You were muted, Marla. Oh no, we still can't hear you.
Unmute yourself.
Oh.
Unmute yourself.
Well, she's
I know.
There you go.
I'm using two screens, so I have to get my cursor in the right place.
Yeah, okay, great. And then myself, Emily Britton, I'm here. Okay, great. So our agenda, I believe, includes introductions first. So that's largely for the benefit of Marla and Margaret to meet each other because you haven't met each other yet. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you want to say, why don't you say, Marla, why you wanted to join the CRC? And then Margaret can talk about, well, there's going to be lots of time.
When I was young and joined.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Marla Solomon, and I live on Nipfer Avenue in Easthampton. And I've lived in Easthampton for coming up on 4 years now, and lived in Amherst for many years before that. Moved here from there. And I wanted to join because, well, I have an interest in general in anti-racism issues. I have kids who are Black, and I'm always thinking about, like, where I bring them, will they feel good and safe? I mean, they're adults now, obviously, but, you know, they come home. And I know that Easthampton has had issues. I used to work with public schools, and Easthampton, actually, one of the people from the Easthampton schools was on an advisory committee of mine. And during the time when Easthampton High School not first, but a few years ago, had a lot of issues around race within the school. So I was a little bit familiar with some of that stuff. And I wanted to see how I could, you know, contribute in my own community to making things safer, better, more inclusive, and figuring out, you know, how we can kind of all work together. Living here now, I think for 4 years, I feel like I'm starting to understand a little bit better, you know, what the dynamics are, and, you know, sort of the old and the new and all of the things that everybody identifies as being the issues here. But it also feels to me like there's a kind of, and maybe this is COVID, I don't know, because most of the time I've lived here has been COVID times. But a disconnection, and people sort of, you know, feeling in their little kind of corners. And so, yeah, I wanted to see what I could do to work on that. And that's why I asked to join the committee.
Right. Great. Thank you. And Margaret, I guess, why don't you tell Marla a bit about yourself, but we'll get to your opinions for sure later. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I joined the committee when Rebecca and Emily did. And Jan was also an original person. And I think we applied, all of us, 4 years ago in the summer.
Mhm.
So what would that be, 18? And then I think we first met in January of 2019.
Mhm.
Had some training over a couple of months, maybe until June.
Mhm.
But in any case, so that's 2019, and we kind of met, and we had maybe 6 other members who have left,
Mhm.
6 or 7 or something like that over the last 3.5, almost 4 years.
Mhm.
So, anyways, so we have been this amorphous group, and some of us have gotten to know each other somewhat, and then we've also been a product of COVID. So after meeting kind of not really that much in the first year, the whole rest of the time has been COVID.
Mhm.
So a lot of the people on the committee I've never been in person with,
Mhm.
people who've been in it for like the last 2 years or whatever, 2.5 years. So
Mhm.
anyways, it's been a hard, it's just been kind of a unusual way of having a committee. And also this is my first experience being in an appointed committee with everything being recorded and open meeting law and all of that, which I totally understand why there is such a thing. But I also know on a functional basis, it makes doing anything almost impossible.
Mhm.
It's colossally a waste of time
Mhm.
if you're on the legit, it's like, what do you mean that we can't talk and figure this out and bring it back? And, and then let's have the vote, the subcommittee, when I found out like a year ago, we decided that somehow subcommittees, which we had finally landed on, and then we couldn't have subcommittees anymore.
Right.
And I thought that was kind of a death knell, because it's a way to make a few number of people be able to operate,
Mhm.
not having to get the 6 or 8 together all the time. And anyways, so it's just been a learning experience, and we've been, a committee without a real, we have a mandate, but it's also a very broad mandate, and we have not been able to settle on a place.
Mhm.
We have momentarily,
Mhm.
and gotten into something else, and then gotten into something else.
Mhm.
And we're not really very grounded. So, I feel
Why did you join?
well, I joined because I have lived in Western Mass since I was 19. I'm 71 now. And so 4 years ago, I was 68 or something. So, and I've lived in Easthampton for about 15 years, but I lived 3 miles away in Florence, kind of Easthampton for 10 years before then, and in Holyoke for 10 years before then. And, I've just lived a lot of places in the Valley since I was 19. And I've always been in kind of teaching or helping professionals role in terms of being a psychologist in domestic relations cases and working with Department of Children and Families and the courts. And so that's been my work, which I don't do anymore, but kind of being proactive in community relations and also in justice, social justice issues. And, Amherst is very different than Easthampton. And, I kind of not that I've obviously lived here for over 50 years. But I come from New York City, and so it's a very different place than that.
Mhm.
Really, really.
It's a little bit different. Yeah.
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 But, it's, anyway,
Mhm.
I joined it because I thought it was a really great idea, and it was off of the racism in the high school that committee was, birthed.
Mhm.
That's about it.
Mhm.
So, no one can disagree or argue with any level of mission that such a group might have.
Mhm.
even if it was just to hand out cookies,
Mhm.
and,
Mhm.
say good morning to people.
Mhm.
That would be fine if we could decide that was our mission.
Right. Yeah.
And then had people to do it and had time to do it.
Right. Right.
So anyways,
Okay. Well, thank you.
that's kind of me. And, but I've run a bunch of different programs. I've been on a lot of boards. I was on the Cancer Connection board for like 9 years. And, and we really actually did stuff, kind of, and I was helped get the Cancer Connection thrift shop together. And, that's my crowning, jewel in a fabulous accomplishment. So, in a group, but, really pushing for it. So anyways, here we are. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah.
You too.
How old are your children?
Well, let's see. I have a stepdaughter who's like 50. And then my two born ones are 25 and 29.
Mhm. 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 Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you guys for sharing that. The next thing on the agenda is public speak, but we don't have any public here. So we'll move on to the minutes.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about the minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
So, let's just say at first without quorums, then let's just say I didn't keep my rhythm.
Yeah.
Now I've gone back and sorted through to see what I did. So the truth is that a group that we thought was a quorum did approve March 23rd, 2022 already.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as I've said, once forgive me for asking questions. I think some of the tightening up is because I get into asking questions, right? So then I find that that a quorum really needs to be 7 out of 11. That's kind of an aside, but the solution, one approach to that is to ask the mayor to reduce the size of the committee from 11 to a smaller number. There's various things that could be done. But anyway, we did approve March 23rd, at least some kind of what we thought was a quorum did. My thought is that a full committee could ratify that later. April 27th, I was intending to email everybody, which I didn't do. April 27th, I definitely provided to Emily, and I think I will send to everybody. That to me was a special meeting because Myra was there and she really made a special presentation about basically the gaffe the mayor had committed with the what was it, a We the People? What was that called?
Yes, the We the People group, the students. She went to talk to she was observing the class. She was there for a couple of hours, actually. The mayor.
Right. And then what happened is so for April 27th, Myra, and I really appreciate it, she did some research. She made a really heartfelt presentation. We had some members of the public with us. So I want to send now what I've got on that out to you and take some time. I've also put together some extremely brief minutes of May 18th and May, whatever the date was, that we had those initial in-person meetings where 3 of us came and 3 of us came. They don't really say a lot except that who was there. So I have some minutes that I want to share with everybody, and I want to at least give April 27th some TLC. We had given them to Myra, hoping to give her some input because of a lot of it coming from her. But for whatever the reasons are, she hasn't been able to get it back to us or hasn't. So anyway, I'm not going to ask, if you don't mind, I'm not going to ask for any votes tonight, but just let you know that I will be sending out at least April and May and probably a few more.
Okay, so you can send, I kind of.
Okay, I was just checking to see what it is you did send. I don't think you did send.
No, I don't think you have the April 27th.
No, I don't think I have anything like that.
And
Okay.
nobody has the May ones. And we did have a draft from you, Emily, and I'd like to put that on, I've been putting it in a certain format, so I want to finish doing that. And I think that was August. So, with apologies, I'm probably going to send quite a few sets of minutes, but as I'm saying, some of them are going to be very short.
But I can't really vote on ones that I wasn't there. So like I could April, whatever. It sounds like none of them I was there, but we'll see.
Well, maybe what I would say, and again, you have to follow your conscience, but hopefully the committee will somehow be able to approve minutes in the future so that we actually have approved minutes. But we didn't have a quorum, so most people will be absentees. So so if we don't get some kind of favorable votes, that could be a different problem. But you know what? I'm not going to even fret about that right now. Okay, that's another problem for the future.
That's good. This is one of the safeguards and problems we have with you being a lawyer, is that this is the way it's supposed to be. And, we're not going, you have the final say in many ways about that.
Well, maybe you need to kick me out, but
No. I mean, I consider it prudent, and there's nothing wrong with being prudent.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, thank you. So I did. So again, my apologies for not even sending April 27th to everybody. I think I'll send that first and specially.
Well,
just because I care about that one. Yeah, go ahead.
I guess I just wonder if you should be sending April out to people who weren't there.
Well, how are you ever going to have a quorum of a committee vote to approve if they don't see them?
But we can't have people who weren't there approve them.
That's not from me. That's on your own heart of hearts.
No. But for example,
I think technically they can.
I wasn't there, and then the two other people who, Jan or Myra, who might have been there, they're probably not going to come to a meeting. So they're not. So the three of you will have to approve these, and that's fine with me.
Well,
that's fine with me. If the three of you who are there read them and say, okay, yeah, this is good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me just
I
say
think
that
actually technically that, maybe the absentee members can vote to approve. I mean, I haven't seen anything that says against that. And, based on what, I don't know, but technically there can be. But I think that's, for me, this is a very small issue in what's a much bigger set of issues that we have to figure out tonight or start to figure out tonight.
I think we're just kind of getting the slow start. I think things will speed up shortly. This is the
No, I know. I'm just saying that rather than spending a lot of time, in the minutia of the approval of the minutes, maybe we should kind of in the context, address that issue in the larger context of,
please
how are we going to function?
I would like to mention there was a recording. So it is possible for any and all of you to watch the recording and see if the minutes make sense based on what you see.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
So for April 27th, the real short ones, but then again, they're real short. So anyway, but we'll figure that out. But for the 27th, there is a recording.
Okay.
The next thing on the agenda is reviewing themes found in the anonymous survey of past members. So I keep hearing a voice.
You know what? I'll tell you what, let me tell my son.
Okay.
So let me figure out how to share my screen.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully that's a little better.
Okay. I have to share my,
Well, let me get the agenda. So our next agenda item, is that what we're moving on to?
yes, we're moving on to reviewing the survey results, just so we can run through them and know that we got 7 responses to why people have dropped, and they will echo some of Margaret's frustrations. So, hold on a
So
second.
these were previous members of our committee?
Yep.
So you
Did
asked
you
them-
interview them?
Yep. So can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. I have to see if I can get it bigger though. Yes. All right. Yes, I see it. Uh-huh.
We sent out this form to all our members, and we asked them to check all that apply. So one was, please state your reasons for resigning from the CRC. The personal reasons, including inability to dedicate 1 or 2 nights a month, plus the extra work that was seeming to be necessary. Disagreement with the mission or planned strategies of the committee. Confusion and or lack of clarity about the mission.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Discomfort with other members, discomfort with public exposure, frustration with lack of productivity, and no longer eligible, moved out, or other. And then we asked them to pick their chief reason of those. And then if we asked them if they at any time in the future consider returning to the CRC, yes, no, or other. And then should there be conditions or changes that would help you answer yes, please let us know what those conditions are. So responses are, I know it's kind of hard to see, but the 71% of these 7 people said frustration with the lack of productivity.
Mm-hmm.
And then 43% said personal reasons, including inability to dedicate the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's a tie, a tie 3 ways: confusion or lack of clarity of the mission, and then discomfort with the other members.
Mm-hmm.
3 people.
So that was also 42.9%?
Yep. So, and then 1 person each said discomfort with public exposure, no longer eligible, and other, that doesn't matter. That was me, actually. Oh, so only 6 people replied, sorry, because I'm still on the committee.
Only 6 of how many?
Only 6 people responded. I'm in there because I was a test sample and we didn't.
No, but how many people did you send it to?
Oh, everyone who resigned. I can't remember.
What's that number?
Do you remember, Rebecca?
I can look it up.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it could be a ballpark. Was it like 9? Was it close to 6? I don't know.
I used to have this memorized. I can find it somewhere.
So is 6 a considerable representative sample, you think?
No, I think there's still a few more, actually.
But it's a good chunk of the people, right?
Right.
It's not like there were 20 people who
Right.
Yeah.
I would say it was a majority.
People are honest. No, would you ever consider coming back? No way.
I know.
I understand.
Right.
You know, we have had whatever. We've had some bad luck. That's all I can say.
Right.
Misfortune, unfortunate. I don't know. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah. So,
well, thank you. I didn't know that was, when did you do that, Emily? That's great.
yeah, and I did it like 2 months ago, maybe.
Wow.
Something like
Yeah, like on September 25th.
Okay, so only 1 month. Yeah.
Wow. Can you send me that? That's fabulous. That's really interesting to me. But that's
Sure.
great.
Can you go back to the last screen?
And I think
Emily,
this is the kind of thing that that we need to really look at, and the mayor needs to see that there's a problem here with
Right.
with the container. That we're the container and we're kind of leaky.
Do you mind if I just count these? Because I found where I sent them and I did it. We were concerned about confidentiality, so I sent them separately. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And then I have to go to another page. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Well, 12. I used 2 email addresses for somebody.
So we got a 50% response.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like it.
Yeah, that's not terrible, but it's only 50%.
Right.
So, and it's not like people were holding back on saying things they didn't like.
Right. Marla, was this the screen you wanted to read?
Yeah, thanks. I had a chance to read it.
Okay.
But I don't know if you want to highlight, like what you took from this. I guess it's just a couple of responses anyway.
I know. Yeah, well, one person wrote about the conditions upon which they would return, and one person didn't actually say what the condition would be, but they shared their complaints, which was like they never felt that the committee's mission was clear, and there wasn't an ongoing direction or oversight of it. And then difficulty with some of the members with problematic public statements on social media, and then some discomfort with how city officials, selected and vetted some members. And then another person said that they need to work on, the committee needed to work on positive relations within the group before it can have a meaningful positive impact on the community. Yeah. So there's
all true. It's all true.
Right. Yeah. So there's our problem statement right there. Okay.
Yeah. At least, you know what? We could become a therapy group for ourselves.
I know.
We could represent a part or some
Right.
different weird configurations of Easthampton.
Right.
And we could just be a support group for ourselves.
Right.
So support group, former CRC.
CRC. We're taking over the CRC for our own.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So, let's see. So now those are the themes in the survey. On the agenda, we thought it would be important to discuss the public speak from last month. Last month, when a gentleman named Rocky was there. But no, it must have been 2 months ago, because Margaret, you didn't get to hear.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I heard 2 men at last meeting.
Okay, right.
Public speak, and they were there for a good chunk of the meeting, like almost all of it. So I don't know, but is there somebody else? Is Rocky somebody different?
No, that was one of the gentlemen who was there. So I did invite our police liaison to this meeting, but he didn't write me back, so he probably couldn't make it.
The police liaison, you mean?
Yeah.
Is that because you got? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, our police liaison, who was assigned to be our liaison for this committee. So I guess the conclusion of Rocky's statement, because he gave us a printed statement, which was that he says, hold the police accountable for their actions and protect the next generation from discrimination based on disability, race, gender identity, etc. So he feels that should be something the Community Relations Committee should do. And I believe that's what the mayor did want us to do at some point. That's partly why she had a lead.
And what is that? Is that to hold the police accountable?
Yeah.
Is that would be our mission?
Well, that was one thing that if we were to look at our plan of action, actually, if you'd like me to switch to that, I can show that to you. That was one of the options. And it was certainly discussed early on in our meeting, but we didn't choose it as an action, you know. So I guess that's all to say that that's something that at least some members of our community would like us to do, because there seems to not be another body to do that.
Well, you know,
Or maybe there is.
well, I'm sorry. Why don't you finish what you're presenting? I'm sorry, and then I can respond.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Apologize.
Well, I guess, you know, the plan of action that Derek Dean from the Department of Justice worked on with us, offered that as one recommendation. So here, why don't I share my screen again? You can see yourselves, and now, okay. Can you see this?
Not yet.
Not yet?
I just see us.
Do you,
I mean, the other thing you could do is share the link to it.
oh, there.
Because it's in our drive, isn't it?
Right, there it is. Can you see it now? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So here's the plan of action that was drafted by Derek Dean. So it shows all the dates that we convened, lots of meetings with Derek Dean.
Yes.
And then, so we convened to discuss and determine through an online anonymous vote which of the following 13 recommendations offered through the CRC's founding ordinance, as well as the final draft of the mayor's pledge to reimagine policing working group, and
Right.
the 2020 Blueprint Easthampton Discovery Weekend Report. So the very first one listed on this document is ensure police data and reports are publicly available through distribution, to include annual review on bias-based policing, annual analysis of use of force, percentage of calls for service that involve mental health issues, report on the city's restorative justice program, which I don't know anything about.
Mm-hmm. Also,
Information.
yeah, I mean, some of this is even a little outdated because there is now basically a community social worker that goes on mental health calls with the police.
Right. Yeah. So, so anyway, this was.
Well, that is.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that is quite impressive looking.
I mean, it was an option for us, and we happened not to choose it. You know, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There were 13 different, you know, potential missions or goals, I should say. And the committee at the time, which I think we had at least 10 members at that time, at least 9 members, chose these 5, and it was not that one.
But let me just also say, I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings here, but all of us on the committee did not fill out this survey, did not participate. And there were like 2 or 3 members of the 9 of us, for example, that did not. And I voiced that I thought that was, I mean, I was really taken aback by that. One of our co-chairs, one of them, who did not fill it out. And, so in any case, I just think that, yes, we filled these out, but we've always been fragmented. So I mean, we did this all during COVID too, so all of it was remote, but I just didn't understand people's lack of follow through myself. That's all.
Right.
Yeah, can I make a comment?
Yes.
From looking at this, I mean, I wasn't part of it back then, but when I joined the committee, I looked at all this documentation, trying to figure out, what the mission was, et cetera, and what we would be doing. And what strikes me is when I look at these 5 that whoever did vote on these landed on, I can see why we have problems with a clear mission, because these are the broadest of the 13. They're broad, they're kind of nondescript, they're apolitical for the most part, has nothing to do with some of the more controversial issues that the committee was created for. And so, I mean, to me, it's not that surprising that we have it when we look at this, because even looking at this, I thought, okay, that doesn't actually really tell me what we're supposed to be doing. So, yeah. And what you're saying, Margaret, makes me think now, it's like, well, we've been sort of basing our idea of what we should be doing on these. And, it seems worthy of reconsideration, given that, the way it was arrived at, and I don't know, it just seems like, and the way we can't function with the current breadth of things that are supposedly being done here. I also have a question. Was this ever adopted? I mean, there's a signature page, but was it ever signed off on and accepted by the committee?
I believe so.
No, it wasn't. We tried to get a vote on it. We've tried to get a vote on it many times, but we just haven't had a quorum to do so.
Oh, really? That's like over a year ago, at least.
I know.
Yeah, over a year ago. I think we ended our work with Derek maybe this time last year. And then he came back and met with us maybe in January or February of this year, when I was feeling particularly enthusiastic about the committee.
Well,
that's what I remember. I may be off, but
that's where I'd have to refer to our January or February minutes to know if we really did approve it, but I don't believe we did.
No, I know we haven't.
Okay.
Now, Derek Dean Derek Dean didn't insist. I think he was trying to train us, work with us, and said, here's a proposal. And he thought it would be great if we signed off on it, right? But left that to us. But we never even decided, yes, we will, or no, we won't. We just haven't really, we haven't decided.
We haven't decided. Well, we're getting to the crux of the issue here, which is that we haven't been of one mind. That's one. That's number two. I think that you're very right, Marlon. I think your perspective is very helpful to us, because we are, very blinded by our own, cloudy experience. So if you can, you're going to see all the things that we can no longer see about the process and the problems, and we have the potential to have a budget that could be $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. We have the potential to run training programs. We have the potential. We have no people power, and we would need staff, and to even do all that role. I certainly am not looking for a job. If somebody was looking for that, would be great. But I don't know if you're looking for a job, Marla. But nobody has that kind of energy, and Emily already has a very busy job. So, together, Rebecca, that's all I can. You're just the glue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we, from the sublime to the ridiculous is what our list of priorities are. And it is from having a block party, which was the kind of, for me, not really what the community relations committee was at all about, but how can you complain about that? Having neighbors or to meet each other. And if that's where we would start, we're going to start on that ground level. Perfect. But, we had much higher hopes of having forums about racism, dealing with racism as a white community. And, I was on the mayor's working group for reimagining policing. Me and Rebecca were on that pretty hard for like 4 months. And anyways,
what was the outcome of that? Were there any action steps, and did they come to fruition?
Oh yeah, a bunch of those have been implemented by the mayor.
Okay.
The thing I want to give to her, and we did do a survey of the police, and all of that's in the document. Mayor's work group on reimagining policing, and when did that come out? That must have come out in the spring of 2021. I think. I'm sorry, I can't recall. Rebecca, do you recall?
Yes. Yeah, that's March 2021. That's how it was documented there.
Wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
One thing I looked up, I can tell you that Derek Dean gave us that draft plan of action last January. So that's that date. One of the action steps in that report that hasn't occurred, but when I met with the mayor, it was still on her to-do list, was to have a staff member that supports the CRC. We can see that hasn't occurred yet.
No,
but I think some of the, I believe that some of the options in the draft for plan of action that weren't adopted were based on the fact that we would need staffing to carry them off. Some things like reviewing a whole lot of reports, or I think the thought was if we needed to review reports, it would be great to have a staff member who took a look and then highlighted things that we could consider. And if we needed to take complaints, somebody to receive them, at least have one staff member.
Yeah. So
Can I ask another question, just on the past development of the committee? I know that some other cities and towns, sometimes a group with sort of a similar mission, but more on the lines of receiving complaints and trying to get justice for people, is a human rights commission. Was there a reason why this group was not sort of crafted as a human rights commission? Or called that? Were there reasons for that? Because it seems like to me that a lot of it came out of that need to have a human rights commission in the city. And but that, again, there's that particular kind of objective is sort of buried in one of these 13 things. And so, I'm just curious about that.
Well,
it's a great question.
My sense of it is this. I mean, let me say, so Derek Dean works for the United States Department of Justice Community Relations Service. And when he came and shared materials with us, and even when I looked for them, in a way, community relations commissions, human rights commissions, they are really all in the same basket, and they might ultimately be the same thing. It seems, maybe the rest of you can correct me. So I know that the protest at the high school happened. I know that a spirit meeting got called together. Now, I wasn't an invitee on that, but community members were called in to talk about, and there's a whole report. Do you have the spirit report, Marla? Okay,
yeah,
so there's that report. Yeah. So I think that out of that, this idea of the mayor creating a CRC whatever it's going to be called, HRCCRC, came out of that. And so I feel like she proposed her proposal to the city council, who approved it. So now we have in the city, either the charter or the bylaws, probably whatever it's called. I forgot what it's called. It's probably the city bylaws, is it? There's a charter ordinance. Yeah, I'm sorry. So we have a whole page about what got passed as the ordinance that created the Community Relations Commission. But I think, I think when we look at that,
The thing is, yeah. I think speak to the mayor made it very clear that we were to decide what we wanted to do, and left it ended question open to us.
well, I guess the way I take this is,
Was my experience.
I guess the way I take this is, this committee got created, but it didn't, you can look at all those things in mission, and I guess, yeah, she could say we can decide how to carry it out, but all those things in that ordinance were not supported by a budget and were not supported by a staff, right? So here we have this list of things that we could consider doing, including things that would be Human Rights Committee or Commission roles, without but really what we would need to do it with, right? So then we were getting trained.
But we have never been together enough to say we want to be a human rights commission, and we need staff, and we need and here's our budget, blah 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 blah.
Right.
We have never followed through on it, ever.
Really? Wow. So it's not just since my time.
Yeah.
No, never.
Oh, okay.
No, nobody. I was like, who's going to
Yeah.
do that? It was like, who's
Yeah.
going to do that? Who's even going to get us that far? And it wasn't going to be me. So nobody. It was going to be nobody. And so we get blown it when somebody come and say, "Oh, this bad thing happened," or to me, or this or that, and so we kind of float back and forth between different presentations and different things, and kind of. But I even think very basic things we just don't even have the commitment from committee members and from to just do simple things. I don't know. I mean.
Well, I might say, it might be that the most committed people are the ones that are here. So to some extent, with regard to a lack of commitment, well, those might be the ones who are not here. So, I mean,
I just think we need a big burst of effort, and I know that I just don't feel like that right now. I just don't, for me. And so, that's why I'm kind of on the fence for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, it seems like we need to decide if we which mission makes the most sense for Easthampton, and we can tell the mayor our thoughts about that, or we can decide what we can do ourselves with what we've got and keep trying. Or we can ask to, the first one is what we think is best for Easthampton, and then we can make our recommendations. And we can share our commitment level for that. Then she'll be faced with, work on her part to try and build up the committee again if there's very few of us left standing.
Right. I mean, Mila, do you have any perspective on this that kind of jumps out at you?
Well, of the two things that Emily just mentioned, I would not be in favor of the just going along and keep trying the way it has been. Because even in the short time I've been on, it's pretty frustrating. I think we're all frustrated that we can't get a quorum, we can't get stuff done, and it's certainly kind of waste of all of our time. So yeah, I think personally, I feel like showing some of the data that we've collected, both from community members in a survey we did and the one you just did, Emily and Rebecca, with past members, and meeting with the mayor and saying we're reconsidering what the focus of this group really should be in order to have clarity and a narrow enough mission to be able to accomplish it. And then we also need more members, that kind of thing.
Or
So
if
not that it's her.
Yeah, or if the town wants a human rights committee, then they need to figure that out.
Right, we need to put up
I don't know
resources for it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not in our present in its ideal form. Doesn't mean we can join such a commission when it gets launched, right? But yeah. I wanted to discuss our next meeting date so then we could invite the mayor to speak with us, but we needed to all pick a date that we knew could at least work for us, or several dates. I did already invite Derek Dean to November 16th because November 23rd is the night before Thanksgiving. I haven't heard back from Derek, but I know that this week was a bad week for him because that's why he couldn't come this week anyway.
Well,
so,
you know what, Emily, we can do everything. I think Derek, if we want to meet with we can't be like meeting with the mayor to say, we really think we've come to like this end point or this weird point. It would make sense to meet with her and then maybe meet with her and him to see if we can get anywhere. I don't know. Do you think, what do other people think? Do you think there should be a meeting with the mayor and us next?
I'm sorry, the question is whether Derek Dean should be at a meeting with the mayor and us?
Yes. And that happening next.
Well, one option might be, since Derek has already agreed to come on the 16th, is that right, Emily?
No, I haven't heard back from him yet.
Okay. I was going to say, if he had, then, we could meet with him first and then, put together kind of a plan to take to the mayor in discussing with him. However, depending on whether he's going to come on the 16th or not.
Yeah. Right.
Or, I don't know.
The advantage of speaking with or without the mayor is that, he's guided lots and lots of human rights commissions, apparently, and they're either called CRC or they're called an HRC.
Yeah. Well, what? And one of the things that he did with it, I think, was kind of differentiated between groups that have say and budgets and those that, we don't have say. Wasn't there some kind of a dividing line there about what were some of the options for us given what our limitations were? I sort of remember that, but he obviously would be a better representative of that than me at the moment.
Or if he had that in a presentation, we can go back and look. Like in an ideal world, I would go back on some of those recordings and look to see if he did show, a page in one of his presentations about the difference. But anyway, the benefit of having him there when we talk to the mayor is that he could say very frankly, like, the HRC allowance, unless they have team members or whatever, and then she could hear it and she would know, okay, I can't reduce a committee like this to 7 members. If he were to say that that's what's necessary, whatever. I think Amherst, well, I don't know Amherst's total number, but I looked at one of their recordings and there were only 4 members on the screen. But
Where was this?
Amherst, because they have all their rights commission meetings online too, so we can get them. Conceivably we could look up.
Right. So their rights commission only had 4 people.
Mm-hmm. Just on that day that I happened to pick. I happened to click on that day and I started watching it. Yeah, but I can't remember what I think there were some other people on the roll call that were not there at the time. But yeah, they looked like they were all of color, actually.
Okay. And see, also, we're also left with speak is that we are for 50 and above white women.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's who we are right now. And that is
Right.
That's not gonna cut it.
Nope.
Yeah. I mean,
No, and we had about 50-50 for about a couple of months.
right.
2 men.
I recruited a member, but she couldn't make it tonight, and she's young and of color, and she is very interested. But we'll see if she can come to the next meeting. She wanted to observe one meeting before making a decision to apply.
Mm-hmm.
The pros and cons. I told her about the history.
Told her everything.
I did. Yeah. I did. Yeah. And she was not daunted by it. She still said that she was interested. I was impressed by that. So.
Well, I think that's why too. Okay.
Right.
So the 16th is maybe it's possible. Okay.
So, yeah.
May I ask, I often get asked by the city clerk or even by the IT department, what's your regular meeting schedule? And the way it's set right now is like the 4th Wednesday of the month, but unfortunately, there is the ZBA, there's the Finance Committee, there's a few committees who seem, as far as I can see, to take precedence to us who also meet on the 4th Wednesday of the month. So in terms of getting an in-person room with the hybrid meeting, then I would suggest considering a regular meeting schedule that isn't the 4th Wednesday. Should we decide that just strictly online, while it's allowed, is workable? Okay, but it might be nice to have those hybrid, and it might be nice to have either a different Wednesday or.
Well, this in November, the 4th Wednesday is the night before Thanksgiving, so that's not a good time.
Right.
Right.
Anyway, so you mentioned the 16th. Do you want to try for the 30th as well, in terms of when the mayor might be available?
I could do that.
Marla, you available on the 30th as an alternative?
Let me just look. Yeah, I think that's okay.
I am available to make regular meetings on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd Wednesdays of the month if the 4th Wednesday is just too clogged. So, okay.
I don't care. Which Wednesday it is.
For now, but I'm not. Yeah, well, I'm taking it one meeting at a time.
Okay.
You know,
In general, I prefer the third Wednesday of the month just because it conflicts with an online intimate dialogue about race that I really like a lot. So I'd love to not miss that.
Shouldn't do that then. Yeah.
So what about a second Wednesday, Rebecca? Like, I also think, things may change a lot in a month or two. So, but I understand your desire to pin it down.
Well, let's just say if I needed to meet a third Wednesday, I can do it. This program that I've been attending, it's been pretty regularly on the third Wednesday. Let me just have a look. I think the other Wednesdays are basically fine. So,
Are you looking at the city's schedules? Is that what you're looking at, or your own?
I was selfishly looking at my own calendar. Well, I feel like the city, the Wednesdays are busy, but it seems like the fourth Wednesdays are especially busy. But if you would like me to take a moment now, which I could do, to look at maybe the second Wednesday. So let's see, I have to get at the calendar here. So, for example, second Wednesday of October, what did they have going on? Well,
There's a lot of stuff.
Well, so the for October would have been pretty crowded with the Veterans Council and Historical Commission. Let's see about other second Wednesdays to see if that is usually the case. Yeah, I mean, because I might still get the same kind of. I feel like that City Council Finance Committee Wednesdays, or maybe the second and fourth. But that was at 5:00, so maybe that's not always. They at least have a chance to get done. Let's see about November. So now we weren't talking about November 9th, and I see just one room taken up. That is if the Finance Committee doesn't take too long. But let's look at the 16th, because we're looking at the 16th too. City Council, well, they have their. So the Zoning Board of Appeals has 6:00. It doesn't say what room they want. The Board of Public Works wants 5:00 in Conference Room 1. I don't really know how long their meetings take. That's
do you have a problem with us having a not, just a Zoom meeting? I mean, a online meeting?
Right, because I think the advantage of having it be hybrid is public could come, but we're not necessarily able to do much with what the public says when he comes.
Is not in our best interest right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Making it so that is another agenda for us to get sidetracked.
Yeah. So I mean, even in December, I'm seeing some heavy use of both rooms on a Wednesday, but yeah, I don't have anything against being if we feel like, listen, let's just do remote until we sort out either the city sorts it out or we sort it out. The mayor had said, bring this up with Lindsay. You should be able to use a room. And then I bring it up with Lindsay, who's sort of like, no. So I said, would you please talk to the mayor? Because the mayor said to review it with you. And the public safety building has meeting rooms too. And if those get set up, they could have meetings in there. For me, I would emphasize that for community relations, though, I think we'd prefer the city office building because nobody wants to go through the police, reception there to get in, right?
No way.
So we don't want to make the public do that for a community relations. But if some of these other committees can meet over there so that there can be space, so that could be down the road. I mean, if we'd like to be remote for now, that's okay. I mean, we got to do what we need to do. I'm good with that.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is everyone could attend November 16th, but we'd like Derek Dean to attend. So I will let you all know as soon as I hear from him.
Well,
And
I think that's what I was hearing. The 16th isn't great for me. I was proposing the 30th, and
okay.
and also offering the mayor at least another date, like the 30th and the 16th.
But if you can't make it for the 16th, we would.
The 16th is not great for me. No,
Okay.
Anyway, I can try to see if I could make it happen, but it's not my best. But if the mayor can be there and Derek, I'll figure it out. If they can't, it's,
Okay. So you want me, okay, I will email the mayor and Derek Dean and ask about November 30th and the 16th, and then we'll figure it out from there.
That
How's
sounds
that?
great.
Okay.
That's good.
Right.
And if the mayor can't come on our regular meeting night, I mean, maybe we should ask for a special meeting with her at just a different time.
Right. Okay.
And we could use the Derek Dean thing. I mean, I think it's really important to meet with him, and whatever he helps us kind of come up with, we can use going into conversation with her. If they're both there at the same time, I think that's fine too. We'll just sort it out with both of them.
Right.
But I think it's going to be very important that we're clear about, like you said before, problem statement. What is exactly going on? What do we think are some steps to try to resolve it?
Right.
And from my perspective, I would say, sort of really, I don't know. I keep thinking, narrowing there's so many things on this list to do. And, even though the group picked the 5, come to find out it's not really the top 5, maybe, I don't know. But, like a narrower goal for the group in line with what the community's needs are. Top priority needs, not just, kind of messing around, but, addressing some real important needs, and then having the resources to go about that. But maybe even more important, third thing would be, we need to have a bigger group. So, and maybe that's on us, maybe it's on her, I don't know. But
Well, it's actually on the mayor because she appoints. And it takes her months and months a year appoint somebody.
Oh,
seriously. I mean, it's taken a very long time. And she's all spring is about budgets for July 1. And we don't choose members. She does. We don't have any say in who the members are. And that in and of itself is a crazy kind of situation. Any work team that you work with, often you hire, you get, you have some input in,
but
with you.
Right. But we can recruit people. I may have recruited somebody, somebody here might be influenced by hearing about it, so it can be, we can help get the resumes on her desk. Right.
Right.
Okay. So let's see. We've got our next steps figured out. We've discussed the dates.
Can you reiterate what the next steps are, Emily, in your
steps are,
thinking?
yes, the next steps are that I am emailing the mayor and Derek Dean and asking them about November 30th and 16th. And if those don't work at all, if they could maybe suggest some times and we can figure out if it needs to be during work hours, you know, I might be able to take time off. We'll see. But I mean, I have my own list of things that I want to do. Yeah. So.
And I guess what I'm thinking of is, like next steps when we do meet with these folks, like what are we going to say to them and what are we going to?
I think we should show them our survey responses. Definitely the former members' survey responses.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to look at your survey again, or the results from the other survey that you compiled, Marla. And we can tell them about our public speak member who came last month, Rocky, that simply supports the idea of action step 1 or idea 1 that was on that draft plan of action. And then we can say that, we're thinking we need to narrow our goals, and it looks like at least one thing that our community wants is, that's certainly what everyone in Akeene wanted, right? A knee is not enough. Like we haven't surveyed the entire city, right? So we don't know what the majority of the city wants.
Excuse me. I'm going to just bring you way back. What Klein wanted, what the guy the other week wanted has nothing to do with what we decide. Okay. It does insofar as that is information, but we have been blowing in the wind for 4 years. Okay. Members who were members of a kind are no longer on this group.
Right.
Okay. Right. So Myra included, I'm talking about her that way because she's not here. She was thinking about resigning. So the members I've worked with 3 members of a kind between the task force, the working group, and on this committee. I don't, what a kind wants, where are they? I don't know what a kind wants. Okay. And,
do you think they want what was?
No. I'm not speculating what they want. I said, I have no idea what they want.
Right.
And that is, everybody wants somebody to police the police. Okay. And every time we fall into that hole, okay, of that notion as that stands, we are so out of our element. Okay. So I have worked with the police. I work with the courts. This is a complex, very heavy duty thing. I've said this a million times. And this is not for the faint of heart or the unsalaried.
Right.
And big salary. And a lot of staff and a lot of community behind it. Amherst is doing it, sort of. Northampton is doing it, sort of. Easthampton is not doing it, sort of. It might have come through us, but we never got off the ground. So, and the mayor's work group, I think certain things have been implemented. I have not followed up on what all has and what hasn't been implemented. But, so, so let's, anyway, maybe where I'm at is that I'm just frustrated and I'm not willing to continue doing, which is
blow in the wind. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, will you let us know, Emily, when the next meeting is? And I am happy to shepherd our group into some better place, but you won't have to probably deal with me for that much longer, because I know that my energy is very frustrated. That's the best I can say. It's not the best energy. I've gotten a lot from this group, a lot, and I'm very thankful for having been in it. But I mean, there's other things that are much more fulfilling. Like actually have something that happens. I like things that happen. So, all righty.
Right.
So you'll let us know when the next meeting is.
Do you have any?
I think it's really interesting. I don't know, when you think about the origins of this committee and you think about the issues and the topics that arose that fostered it, it's just so interesting, isn't it, that, it's kind of gotten derailed. I mean, in the sense that, this is complicated work, but it's also the kind of thing that people sometimes don't like to have happen. And so I don't know, it's just fascinating to me.
Right.
Because I don't think it's the fault of any individuals in this group that, things haven't happened. It's not that you all haven't worked hard or whatever. It's just interesting that this has happened in this particular group.
And I think also as things went on, kind of the timeline of 1 year in, we get into COVID, and then, and I'm sorry, I can't even believe I cannot remember if it's in the spring of 20 or in the spring of 21 when George Floyd is killed.
It was
20. Okay,
20.
thank you. And that sent the Community Relations Committee into a whole other spiral. A kind existed. Complaints to the police were channeled through us in the summer of 2020. Totally inappropriately from my perspective. And
although the kernel of George Floyd, that event and what happened at the school in Easthampton are the same.
Well, whether they're the same or not, the point is, let's put it this way: police committing murder was not what I saw happening at the Easthampton school. All right. So that's what I saw with George Floyd and what that meant around reimagining policing. And was that going to be our thing? And that's what got us onto that trajectory. Right. And that was totally unsupported by the community, by us, that was not where Easthampton was going. And
like what was not supported?
Us policing the police.
Oh.
Or the Human Rights Commission. All I know is that we also have had, in some ways, a leaderless group in many ways. And I think that's also been hard for us. Not that we should have a leader, but you agreed to co-chair, but you're the remaining chair at this moment, Emily, and then there were two co-chairs, like I mentioned this last time, Marla, that said last December 15th or 25th, or God knows when, something like that, said, oh, well, we're not going to be the co-chairs anymore. We haven't re-upped by, and as of January 1, they were gone. So that really just exemplifies no ill will, but total carelessness. Just like bye, and really? And just things like that. We've never been cohesive as far as I can really fathom. That's not been my experience. So,
But we're still here.
but we're still here
Right.
on some level and have not deteriorated totally.
Right. Right. Right.
Oh, white ladies.
Yes, the old white ladies, and that's nothing wrong with us. And
Right.
we deserve a lot of respect, goddammit.
Well, it shows that we care.
Right.
And,
Yeah,
and
yes,
you know, I think we
but-
could choose something to do, you know, even if it's, and I think collaborations are nice. So I think Myra had the idea. What if we collaborated with the library on a book series and, you know, made that a good, meaningful educational effort?
Right.
well, that is such a far cry from being a human rights commission. You know, it's a great idea, but that's, again, this is from the sublime to the ridiculous. And we're going to police the police, and then we're going to have a book.
Well, you know, I think on those broad choices that were chosen, you see, I think policing the police did not get chosen. And that, I mean, you know, part of my thought there is I've seen other communities like Sudbury have a, you know, racial unity group or social cohesiveness, partner with the library, partner with some certain funders, and have a really meaningful, like that film, That I'm Not Racist, Am I? And I feel like education is at least a valuable option that's there.
Right. And didn't we even look into how much it costs to rent or show I'm Not Racist, Am I?
Oh, and it costs some money.
It costs a lot of money. But the point is, yeah, there would be no problem doing something like that if we could even get together to do something like that and then have a budget to say we need $1,200 to show this movie. I don't even know what it was. And we cannot be shy about spending money, and we cannot keep blowing off track the next time somebody complains and says, I have an issue with the police. And then that seems like your favorite bucket, Emily. I don't know, but that is like you get into it, you just flow with it. And it's just that's not what we're doing. Until we're doing it, we ain't doing it.
It may be wise if we ain't doing it, then somebody comes, I've got an issue, and then somehow we at least, of course, this is where we would love to have the staff, that we have an information, something.
Okay, well, you know what?
Complaints for this goes there, complaint for that. Go ahead.
I will do us a favor. I ran into our district attorney, Dave Sullivan, in the woods at Nonotuck Park the other day, of all places. And so walking the dog. So I was mentioning about the CRC and what people want is for us to police the police. And he said, oh, well, you don't need to do that. We're going to start a new program at the DA's office, blah, 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 blah. We just whatever. So, I mean, it was like a one sentence thing. I was with two other people. He was with the two dogs. So, but I'm going to find out. I'm going to call him and find out what the hell did he say.
Great. I mean,
and
I think at least if we have some resource list, so even if, okay, we're not policing the police, but
no. I'm just saying the DA's office may be our best selves. And so I don't know. But in any case, I do not like to duplicate effort.
So we could support the DA's effort if they're making a good effort.
Yes.
So,
I mean, I feel like some of the reason why, there hasn't been any progress seen on the things we've chosen, because as you said, Rebecca, I mean, we have chosen some things to do, but then we couldn't get quorums for how many months? I've been to 5, 6 meetings, and I think only maybe 2 of them quorum for we had an actual meeting. So, it's the membership also that's a hindrance to the issue of getting things done. And So I think that, that problem could be resolved. Maybe that could be a real impetus to, moving forward.
Right. Yeah.
Mm. All right.
Yes, well,
Well-
it could be a cart and
Hey,
horse thing, because if we were doing exciting things, we would attract
Right,
more members.
Yeah, it is. They're definitely intertwined. So
Right.
yeah,
Most
But
people
if-
don't know we even exist.
Right.
right,
Yeah.
right.
That's all.
And I'm kind of glad because we don't know what we're doing. So what would we say?
I don't tell anybody. I mean, my friends know, but I live in a community with 60 units.
Yeah.
I don't tell anybody.
Well, so
That's
let's
sad.
keep track of the DA and different things, because it could be that what for things that we are not doing, but we do need a resource list. We really do, because people do come. And I know with public speak, a lot of times, at least technically, we either shouldn't cross talk, or I always put it on the chair, by the way. Well, in the past, our co-chairs, tried to address, I saw them trying to address somebody's issue, even though we really don't have a process for that. I think it was a gentleman fell down on the sidewalk, whatever it was. But I at least maybe Derek Dean can help us be clearer, or lean on the mayor maybe to get the staff or get the help to get us that resource list. So if we are focused on education, at least the folks that come and have that kind of thing will be able to have a handout, or we'll say, here's where this complaint needs to go. So keep us updated on the DA. Thank you.
Yes, I will. And it's after 7:30 and I need to go.
Okay.
So,
Should we?
I don't know if we want to end, or I'm just going to need to go.
Why don't we vote to adjourn?
Okay.
I vote
I
to
second
adjourn.
it.
Someone want to second that?
I second. Bye.
Roll call.
Rebecca Pasa.
I vote yes.
Yes. Margaret Christine. Marla
Yes.
Solomon. Me,
Yes.
Emily Britton. And
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.